What's up, Tweener heads? Welcome back to another Friday Tennis Talk here with Austin. Of course, Austin is always here.
Hello.
Him and his deep voice. We got a pretty exciting episode today. We are going to be talking about the ATP Cup, Genie Bouchard, and some other sports as well, because we want to make this more of a rounded tennis podcast. We do know things about other sports. We are big sports fans. Austin's a big Packers fan. I'm a big New York fan, even though I'm from Connecticut. But we're going to go straight into it. There's been a lot of speculation about this ATP Cup versus the Davis Cup that is coming up this year in Madrid, and we wanted to.
Madrid? I thought it was Australia.
They are hosting the ATP Cup, but there's another format that they're trying to get in Madrid as well. Remember?
We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about that later. But the ATP Cup it's a $15 million event. They just spent $20 million renovating Sydney, where the Sydney Tennis Open is, and the Hopman Cup might be replaced by the ATP Cup for this event as well. It's going to be consisted of 24 teams, carries 750 ranking points. There's a lot of controversy whether or not this is going to be taken over for the Davis Cup. Austin, what are your thoughts?
I like the event, personally.
Really?
More incentive, yeah.
Okay. What else?
More incentive. I think it's just going to get more publicity than the Davis Cup, honestly. Everyone's talking about it already.
But do you think it's going to, because the Davis Cup just went through its own renovations just a couple months ago at the end of 2018, and now the ATP Cup is becoming more publicized. Do you think the ATP Cup will really take over for the Davis Cup, or do you think the Davis Cup will survive within this ATP Cup versus Davis Cup debate?
I feel like it's tough to say, the Davis Cup will still be there. I don't know if it'll be as popular. I mean, all the top players are going to be playing the ATP Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on how many people are playing on the team, too, because I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, because
if it's the top players from each country, like in the, like Switzerland, and you have like Roger Wawrinka and like the other top ranked Swiss guys, no one's going to be able to play the Davis Cup that are good. It's going to come down to like.
That's true. And plus, it would start to split between players of who's going to play Davis Cup and who's going to play ATP Cup.
Right. I mean, it's possible that they could still play because it's happening 6 weeks after Davis Cup, which is like a month and a half about.
Yeah, so that's true.
It's still possible.
Yeah. But I just...
You have to think about the Australian Open that comes right after that, that's a lot of playing.
It's a weird place to put it in the schedule. Because if you have all the top guys playing in that, and so if you take the Hopman Cup out of the schedule in January, replace it with the ATP Cup, put all of the best players into the ATP Cup because it has more incentive, do you think that would either make the schedule easier or harder for players?
I think it would just be another adjustment they'd have to make. I don't think it would necessarily be harder. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'll be a little more taxing and tiring.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Go ahead.
What are you going to say? No, continue.
No, I'm just saying, I just wanted to give you, like, people more background on what's going on right now. Because the format is, there's going to be 3 groups of 8. It's a round robin in Sydney, which is Sydney, Brisbane, and another location. Sydney's going to be the destination for the semifinals and finals. It's going to be set before next year's Australian Open. And it's going to be sending the country's top players, and the format's going to be 2 singles and 1 doubles. And if we were to put the rankings on today for the ATP Cup, and if we put all the top players for each country, the rankings would follow. It would probably be the average of the entire country's rankings. The top 5 would be starting from 1, Serbia, Spain, Switzerland, Germany, and then 5 would be Argentina. Guess where the United States would be?
Oh, it's Isner, and then what, Tiafoe after that?
It's Isner.
What, in the 18s maybe? In the 15s, something like that?
No, because it's Isner 10 and then everyone else is 30s.
No, never mind.
Because
Probably at the bottom.
Yeah, they're number 10.
Oh, they're number 10. That's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Well, how is South Africa 6 besides Kevin Anderson? Who else plays from South Africa?
I don't know.
Because then it goes South Africa, Croatia, Austria, and Japan. Are you looking at players from South Africa?
Yeah, I don't know any. Besides Kevin Anderson. Yeah, I don't know. The next guy that I see is Robin Klaassen.
Oh, the doubles player?
Maybe.
Yeah. Dark skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good doubles player. I forgot about him. But,
like Lloyd Harris?
No.
Exactly. Yeah. I got 30 seconds, by the way, for my pizza. Oh, I am cooking a pizza right now. Well, baking a pizza, I should say.
You're making a pizza.
Baking.
Cooking.
Baking.
This happens in every episode. Austin's usually making dinner while we record.
It's true. You got to multitask, right?
Fair.
I don't know. A lot of people were saying that... Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm turning off my timer. A lot of people were saying that they should have... The ATP and the ITF should have worked together to create something. So
okay.
It doesn't exactly... Because they don't overlap, but...
It
would fix the timing problem.
It would fix the timing problem, and it would be easier on the players if they just had one big event instead of multiple events that like are basically the same thing.
Like, I'm not sure if they can do this, but if they were to put prize money and ranking points available for Davis Cup, I'm not sure if that's a thing already.
I think there's some incentive.
Or is it just like literally just play for your country?
That's a good question. I think we should find that out for next episode because I think if there was more incentive with the Davis Cup and if we kept the Davis Cup format originally, I think a lot of people would be turned towards the play for their country. Because I asked you this earlier this week whether or not the ATP or the ITF has more power, like in terms of like persuasiveness within the tennis world. And I thought the ATP kind of rolls over the ITF because of the amount of money they make, because the players follow ITF rules but are under the organization of the ATP.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, they're all three separate like bodies.
Yeah.
Bodies.
But
they just kind of work together. The ITF organizes all of the Grand Slams, and so they're responsible for scheduling. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then the ATP also does that too, so I'm not exactly sure. I feel like they overlap in a lot of things that they do.
I think they do too, so I don't understand why they have both.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I need some insider scoop on how exactly that works.
Yeah, I have to start asking questions around.
Same thing with the WTA. Like it's another governing body. I mean, the ATP is just for men, but obviously the WTA.
Yeah, if we
ITF is more global for both. I think.
Because you have future tournaments, you have ITF juniors, you don't have ATP juniors, but then the ITF juniors become ATP pros and WTA pros. So why is that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Do you want to go get pizza?
Yes, I'm going to do that right now.
So, where were we?
ITF versus
ITF and ATP and WTA, because it's interesting how they define ITF juniors and then don't qualify them as ITF pros. They qualify them as ATP or WTA pros. So that's an interesting thing that they do not mix together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My dad, I saw something piece of paper, something with the ITF, and he did something. I'm not sure, because when he was in Indonesia, he had to go through the ITF and stuff like that for events. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe he knows.
What?
At least I know that he knows people working with the ITF, that works for the ITF.
Yeah. So it's interesting because when I was doing the junior circuit in the ITFs when I was living in Brazil, I signed up for the ITF. I looked at tournaments for the ITF, and you had the choice to sign up for junior Grand Slams as well through the ITF. You don't do it through the ATP junior system because there is none. So you do everything through an ITF website versus doing it through the ATP. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when do we...
Same thing with the USTA, maybe.
That's interesting because...
No, I don't think so. Maybe not. I don't know. Because each country has their own version of the USTA.
Yeah, every country, Italy has the Federazione Italiana di Tennis, which is FIT. Brazil has... what does Brazil have? I forget what they have.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I forget what it's called. I don't know how I remember the Italian one so quickly. But each country has their own thing, and then so you have your countries, then the ITF, then ATP or WTA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how that works.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, though, for this.
I would like to see... I'm just used to the Davis Cup, and I want the Davis Cup to become more popular, so if they were to put all these incentives into...
Yeah, if they made it like a singular event, I think it would be nice.
It would make so much more sense, right?
Yeah.
It
would be. Yeah, I mean, it would be. I think it would be more fun to watch because all the good players are playing.
Yeah, and
it'd be a little more rowdy. Like Davis Cup's pretty rowdy.
Well, I think Davis Cup in my mind is like college tennis. You have fans that just scream, and you have people that are like into it so much more. And I like that. And if they just made one like World Cup of tennis with that kind of atmosphere, I think that would just make tennis even more popular.
Yeah, I know the ITF was like, this is a missed opportunity. No. We'll see what happens, though. Maybe in the coming years they'll put something together.
ATP and ITF, if you're listening to this podcast or this in any way, shape, or form, contact us. We have ideas. Me and Austin can run it.
We also have questions.
We also have a lot of freaking questions.
You cannot be serious!
Next, Genie Bouchard, your favorite person in the world.
My wife.
Your wife. Would you like to start the subject because Austin is the expert on Genie Bouchard?
I'm the expert on Genie Bouchard. I've only met her once, and she just started remembering him.
All right, so talk us through it, Austin.
When I met her?
Tell us about Genie Bouchard. If you were to describe Genie Bouchard to people who don't know her, describe her in a way.
Absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
Genie Bouchard. No, dude, she breaks my heart. She used to be so good. She's Canadian. I don't know what she's ranked right now, but she's like, I'm pretty sure she's only like 24. Right?
She is 24. She's inside the top 100 now.
From Canada.
Yeah,
Run back in like 2012,
14.
2014.
I just made a video on her describing what she does. If you want to listen to that, I'll leave a link to it in the description as well as other links if you're listening to this on Spotify.
She made the semis in French, and then she went to the finals, right, at Wimbledon?
She made 3 semifinals of Grand Slams in 2014. She made the finals of Wimbledon. She made it Australian semifinals, Roland Garros semifinals, Wimbledon finals, U.S. Open 4th round in 2014.
The point is she was really good back then in 2014.
She was, and then she crashed and burned.
I don't know what happened. Started struggling, lost with confidence maybe.
Well, all right, so
she's not playing as well.
Genie Bouchard is what I would call the all-around female athlete who has the publicity, the looks, hopefully the style of play to become an icon within the women's sport. Right now, she's known as the girl that was on Sports Illustrated's cover. She has over 1 million followers on Instagram, and I made a video on her, and I would like to see her get back to her form because we just need new players, and we should see her at her potential. She made the quarterfinals of the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand this past week, as well as winning the doubles title with Sophia Keenan, excuse me.
Right.
What else would you have to say about her, Austin?
I mean, I'm not sure. Honestly, I have no idea. Like, ever since, I don't know when she got the concussion. You know when she got that?
The year after she made her magical run in 2014. She got it in 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Do you think she'll make it out? Do you think she'll ever make it back?
At this rate, no.
You don't think so?
No, dude. She's like, I'm pretty sure she has so much side stuff going on. I mean, look at do you follow her on Instagram? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course I follow her on Instagram. Everyone follows her on Instagram.
But I just feel like she's not, I don't know. She never, I mean, it's not to say that she's not practicing if she doesn't post anything about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like she has so many side gigs. Like in, like modeling and stuff like that. That maybe she's just not focused on tennis as much.
I would say that there's also two big in-depth...
I'm sure a big thing is also confidence, too. Like, when you have so much success,
yeah.
And you have that much pressure.
Yeah, that's true. To perform once again.
Yeah, and then you're like, if you can't handle it, then you're not going to perform as well.
She went through 3 coaches in 2018.
That's a lot.
She also had the concussion in 2015. She also... What was it? She filed a lawsuit in 2015 after she got a concussion at the U.S. Open. And then after that, she just won the lawsuit in 2018 for, what was it, Austin? You're the B-law
negligence.
Negligence.
She sued for negligence.
She sued the USTA and the U.S. Open for negligence of damage because she slipped on the floor and hit her head pretty badly and wasn't able to perform for the rest of the 2015 season. She only played 1 match. And I think...
maybe that concussion was really bad. Maybe that definitely put her setback.
Yeah.
Also a possibility.
That's also a possibility.
I would like to know what's coming from her camp, what's going on.
She doesn't have a usual camp, though, don't you think? She's always changing people in and out depending on who she's hanging out with.
Who is her coach? Do we know that right
now? Mike Joyce. Mike Joyce.
Yeah, I'll let you know what they're thinking. I know she hit at Serena's coach's camp. Or not camp. Yeah, it's camp. Racquet, whatever his last name is. Racquet tennis camp.
Patrick Matrigalogu?
Yeah, Matrigalogu, whatever his
name is. I don't even know if I pronounced it right.
Oh, she hit there.
She practiced it for a while.
She's got the game. Like, she's aggressive, big forehand, and everything like that. She's got the game to beat everyone.
I think it's all a mental state. I think she's like the Nick Kyrgios of the women's tour.
No, I don't say that.
Really?
Nick Kyrgios is a loose cannon. Doesn't care. Like, that man could be number 1 in the world if he actually put his mind to it, but he doesn't. He has so much talent, dude.
Wait, you're telling me if Genie Bouchard didn't put her head to it, she wouldn't be number 1?
I mean, maybe she is putting her head to it. That's the thing. Maybe she's trying, and she just can't back to it. Because it's all confidence at this point. Nick Kyrgios is confident enough he can do it, but he just doesn't want to do it because he's Nick Kyrgios, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Very lazy, like.
Well, then how would you compare her on... Who would you compare her to on the ATP Tour?
Someone who had a lot of success early and not producing as much. I don't know.
So every American man?
Yeah, maybe.
Jack Sock?
Maybe. Jack Sock is... Yeah, dude, Jack Sock is struggling. Like, but he's having a good doubles career right now.
Yeah, but he's not going to be playing with a Bryan brother this year. The Bryan brother... Mike and Bob are back together after one of them returned from an injury.
Find a different partner. He'll be fine. He's a good doubles player, dude.
Well, yeah, because you have a cannon of a forehand and a huge serve. All you have to do is just hit the ball.
Yeah, but his volley is just good hands and everything.
That's true. I would agree with that.
Dude, he filled in, I think, maybe even better than... He played with Mike?
Yeah, I think so.
No, maybe not, because Mike's not as good as Bob, in my opinion.
Well, I just think that if you were to compare...
Very admirably. Almost the same results, I think.
Well, yeah, but I think Genie has a better chance of regaining her ranking within the WTA because in the men's tour, it's just so much harder to freaking get a ranking anymore. And with the new...
I think all she needs is one solid run.
One solid run in a Grand Slam?
If she goes far, she beats good people. I think that could be the start.
What's her draw in the Australian Open? I just posted about it.
Did she even get it?
Women's Australian Open draw. I think she did. She definitely did. Oh my god, this is insane.
What?
I'm looking at I posted the draw for the women's tour, Australian Open, and I swear to God, it's the depth in this. You really don't know who's gonna win.
Where's Genie at?
I'm trying to find it. I can't find her. Also, by the way, Sharapova's back to being the 30 seed in a major.
Was she injured?
Yeah, she was. She pulled out of the Shenzhen Open, too.
Yeah. Beijing is so bad, though.
Dude, is she even in the draw?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God, is she not even in the draw? Did she have to qualify?
Maybe she's doing qualifying right now.
She's in Melbourne right now.
No, she's doing qualifying.
Bencic is playing Siniakova. Osaka's the 4 seed, by the way, if that helps you.
I feel like she's going to go out early.
You think?
It's U.S. Open hangover. Yeah, she'll go out early, I think. I hope she doesn't, but that's my prediction. We'll see what happens.
That's true. Dude, I can't find her. This is absurd.
She's probably in the qualifying.
She's probably qualifying. Wow.
No, if she gets it, it makes you good right. I think she'll be decently back then.
No, found her. Found her.
Oh, she's in?
Yeah, she's in. She's in Halep's draw.
Who does she play?
She plays Shuang Peng.
She's tricky, dude.
She's tricky. Then, oh God, dude, if she wins and Serena wins, she plays Serena second round.
Okay, those best matches come against the best players. It's so much easier to play against a better player because, first of all, they hit the ball hard, especially Serena.
True.
It's more fun. I think that could be good. I don't think she'll win, but if she gets a good match, all you need is confidence building. You know?
I think if Genie plays a variety shot game and doesn't stick to the baseline, she'll be fine against Serena. Serena can't go up and down; she goes side to side. Also, I think Kasatkina could be considered overrated.
Kasatkina, she's 10 in the world. You're not overrated if you're 10 in the world. Tennis is one of the sports. You don't have to. There's no such thing as overrated, in my opinion, for tennis.
Really?
Because you earned yourself that ranking point.
Well, I think there's for me at least, there's a side where you can play a lot and get to like the third, fourth round of every tournament, and then still be ranked higher than most people.
She had a good Wimbledon. I'm not sure how she did in the U.S. Open.
I don't think she did.
She went pretty far in the U.S. Open, in the Wimbledon, and she lost in like a marathon third set to someone.
She lost in the first round of the Sydney International.
Okay. Well, how about a Grand Slam?
All right, hold on. No, she made the quarterfinals of the French and quarterfinals of Wimbledon.
That's good.
That's not bad.
She's not overrated. She's solid.
She's solid.
She's got a good slice.
Someone commented on my YouTube video about Genie about talking about Kasatkina, so that made me think.
Kasatkina's good though.
Yeah, she's decent.
Yeah, she's good. She's 10 in the world.
You're just making me change my mind at this point.
That's good.
Yeah, that's true.
You cannot be serious!
The next and last thing.
Why tennis is not popular?
Why tennis is.
In the United States, it's not as popular. Around the world, it is.
It's not. It is. But I just want to.
It's never going to be the number one sport.
Oh, it's never going to be the number one sport. But I'm bringing this top. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like in the U.S., it's always going to be the major sports, like the NFL.
NFL, baseball.
Yeah, baseball, hockey, even.
The only way it's going to be promoted is through Serena Williams, or if someone does a cool shot.
Yeah, but in South America and Central America, it's always going to be soccer.
It's definitely but it's definitely like a top 5 sport everywhere else but the U.S.
Right, and I think it's way more popular in Europe.
It is. Oh, 100%. But I'm bringing this up because I was watching the Sydney International tournament, and I was watching it with my dad, and we were looking at the crowd, and Sloane Stephens was playing, and no one was watching the match in the crowd. And that made me think, how do tournaments continue to make money when no one's watching at a live event?
At a live event?
At a live event. You know what I mean?
There's no spectators at all. Like 0 spectators.
Like barely 10 in the stands. I might be exaggerating, but there's definitely less than 50.
Yeah, I don't really know. That's the thing. I don't really understand how money works in tennis. Like if the ITF, I don't know. They don't collect the money, but the ITF is the ones that distribute money around the world. And
it's the prize money, and also sponsors pay for their.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they get a lot of sponsorship money.
Yeah, but how do you promote? I hate to say this, but how do you promote watching live women's tennis? I would love to. I would love to be on the marketing side of that to find out how you try to promote that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing to say, or is that just a general question?
No, I mean I would say that about men's too. men's tennis too.
Yeah, that's true. That's why when I'm going to Cleveland, I want to know like why like young kids and people don't go to these smaller tournaments just to watch people trying to make it on tour, because it's definitely a story that people should be interested in. And
I mean, when you get guys like Nick Kyrgios who actually like, I know one of my friends said, she doesn't play tennis at all, but she was like, Nick Kyrgios actually makes like it fun to watch.
Oh yeah, I think when you have guys like that have a big personality on tour, it makes the sport more interesting because non-tennis people get interested in the character.
It's also, I mean, at least in the United States, tennis isn't one of those sports. It's not a contact sport, which already turns people off.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can get like riled up about. Like, you look at basketball and football, and there's a lot of action happening. There's like highlights everywhere. Tennis, it's not as much. It's a more patient sport. It's kind of like golf, but more exciting than golf, obviously.
Did you just compare tennis to golf?
Well, I'm just comparing like the perspective of it.
Yeah, I would say that too, and I think there's certain things that make tennis exciting, like shoe deals and streetwear, like Federer combining with Jordan to make shoes when he was still with Nike. Like that brings sneakerheads into the tennis world to find out more about the sport as well as people that are doing stuff. And now Nick Kyrgios is making a shoe with Kyrie Irving, by the way, if you didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that. I saw that.
Yeah, and like that's going to bring more people in. That's going to bring like more basketball players into the sport of tennis, which is great. And I think that's like the kind of stuff that people need to be bringing more attention to, because it brings more attention to people that don't know more about tennis and that want to find tennis more entertaining. You know what I mean?
I would say the same thing about soccer too in the U.S.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And tennis and soccer are kind of in the same boat.
I would say so, and I think the U.S. is pushing harder on soccer, even though it'll never get to where people think it's going to be.
Oh yeah, it'll never overtake.
You'll never.
Nothing is ever going to overtake baseball or not baseball. Well, baseball's part of it.
NFL. Nothing's going to overtake the NFL, the NBA, college sports at any point.
Yeah, right. College sports is already at something. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the nature of the sport, I think.
And that's yeah.
I don't. Rose was talking about it. Remember, this is during like the whole Serena and Osaka.
Yeah.
Controversy, and Jalen was like, "Yeah, tennis has this, kind of this. I don't want to say like I don't know if he said rich etiquette kind of style to it, but it's not like it's not one of those sports where it's like basketball you can just easily pick up."
Yeah, I agree.
And that's kind of like what's hurting the popularity of it, because it seems like
because it's a country club sport.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said actually. A country club sport, where it's only like if you can only those that can afford it are the ones that are going to be able to play it, and
I think that's what makes it worse, and I think that's what makes tennis a turnoff to most people, because it just makes it harder to understand like how the sport is played, how you play it, and like who's involved with it. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's going to be a challenge. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll ever become as popular. It could be. I think it's becoming more popular now, if you think about it.
It's definitely become more popular in the last 5 years.
Yeah, more so than it has been.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, the big three definitely help with that.
Oh, yeah. Federer and Nadal and Djokovic.
Globally, the sport is more than fine. It's just the U.S. It's not as popular. Globally, I think it's more than fine.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Especially Europe. And Asia, it's huge. Asia, it's massive.
Well, Asia, it's like big in racket sports, in every racket sport for that matter.
Yeah, well,
Ping pong, badminton, and tennis all.
Oh, you said badminton.
Badminton.
Oh, I thought you said badminton. Never mind. Damn.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I know my dad growing up in Indonesia was like shoot.
Austin has to enunciate the minton. Badminton
is like popular. That Malaysia, Philippines, even China, huge badminton.
Yeah.
Coming more into it. Japan has so many players now.
That's true. I agree. And I think, yeah.
Like the future of the sport, like, it's obviously going nowhere, but in the U.S., it's slowly growing, I would say.
Yeah.
Slowly. So, we'll see what happens though the next 10 years. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
When Roger, Novak, and Rafa...
When those three retire, it's either going to get a new look or it's going to go downhill immediately.
I don't think it'll go downhill.
There's no icon.
If someone becomes super dominant the next...
Wait, no, but think about this. There's no one's going to know like a familiar face if you put it on SportsCenter.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to make it worse.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help. Like, if the number one guy in the world was American, or was like if Roger Federer was American, it would be totally different.
Oh yeah, imagine if Roddick stayed around.
Yeah, right.
Like that would have been awesome.
Roddick was good.
He was good.
Yeah, but like if he stayed as dumb, like if he was Roger Federer's level, I'm saying.
Yeah, when you lose 3 Wimbledon finals to Roger Federer, I would go insane too.
Yeah, that's like the 4 Falls of Buffalo.
Oh God. All right, and just the weekend roundup for other sports. Packers got a new head coach.
Oh yeah, Matt LaFleur.
Yes.
Crab it up, crab hole, LaFleur. That's my favorite theme of all time right now. Dodgeball.
Good pick for the Packers.
Yeah, I think so. Because he worked with Matt Ryan when they went to the Super Bowl and famously blew a 28-3 lead.
Nice.
And worked with Jared Goff with Sean McVay with the Rams before.
Cliff Kingsbury just got hired as the Arizona coach too.
Dude, I don't understand. Stephen A. was so mad about that.
How did he get a head coaching job? Everyone was talking about him getting the.
He coached Holmes and a bunch of other guys.
There was definitely other choices that they could have had for Arizona.
Yeah, I mean,
Bruce Arians going to be the head coach of Miami.
Yeah. Oh, with Miami now?
Is it Miami or Tampa?
I thought it was. Oh, I think it's Tampa.
It is Tampa. Excuse me.
Adam Gase got hired from the Jets.
True.
And then the Browns hired within their own system.
Yes.
Their offensive coordinator.
Kyler Murray's going to go to the draft instead of going to the A's for college football.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be any good.
I don't think. He's choosing the NFL draft, dude. He's not choosing baseball.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be any good.
People are saying he's going number 1 overall.
I don't think he'll.
There's no chance.
I don't think it'll be any good. 2 is better.
Yeah, but what's his name? The backup's transferring.
Oh, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he's transferring to Georgia.
That's cool.
Georgia or Ohio State in my mind.
Georgia? Oh my God, that weird.
Can you imagine that? And then
Yeah,
that would be insane. And there was one more.
The Bucks beat the Rockets last night.
They did. Giannis absolutely hit Harden in the face hard.
I saw that.
That was so funny.
It was so funny.
That was so funny.
They asked Harden about it in an interview yesterday, and he was like,
"What'd he say?"
Because they asked him if he saw it. He was like, "Oh man, that shit hurt."
Also, if Saquon Barkley doesn't get Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to lose my mind.
Who is in contention for it?
Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, and then the running back for the Broncos.
No, Philip Lindsay won't get it.
Yeah.
It'll go to Baker. I can guarantee you that.
No.
It probably will, just because...
Well, it's either Baker's going to get Rookie of the Year or Offensive Player of the Year.
If he gets Rookie of the Year, then I feel like... if he gets Rookie of the Year, Saquon will get...
Offensive.
Like, Saquon's already up there as like a top 5 running.
He's already... Yeah, 100%. I think he was 3rd overall for rushing yards this year.
Yeah, dude, he was sick. And he can catch, too. He can do everything.
Yeah, when Eli checks down and fucking...
Yeah, you guys need a new quarterback.
You think?
You guys should get Joe Flacco or like maybe...
I think Joe Flacco's too old. We're probably... If we get... If we get...
Who else is available?
No one.
Trade for like Fitzmagic maybe?
No. If we were to draft a quarterback, we'd probably... OBJ wants the kid from Ohio State. Also, OBJ is this generation's T.O. and Ocho Cinco.
Dude, there's one receiver. Antonio Brown is way worse than OBJ.
He's worse?
Oh, have you not been keeping up with the news about Antonio Brown?
No, Antonio Brown wants to be traded, and he's definitely going to be traded.
He's done, like, the stuff that he said. Ryan Clark, he used to play for the Steelers. He's a defensive back. He said that, you know how everyone accuses Antonio Brown of being this, like, diva, and, like, everything is about himself, and he doesn't really care about the team, but he cares about his stats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ryan Clark basically confirmed all of that. And Antonio Brown was pissed off, and he was like,
he doesn't cry on the sidelines like OBJ. I think OBJ is a baby bag bitch sometimes.
But at least Odell cares about winning it. Antonio Brown, apparently, after a loss, he had like a monster game. Like, he was still pretty happy that he had...
Well, OBJ will shut up if he gets paid. And that's what happened this year.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about winning losing. Like OBJ wants to win.
Antonio That's Brown true. Yeah, I would agree.
And having good stats and doing everything.
Still one of the best receivers we've seen.
Antonio Brown,
Antonio Brown is the Russell Westbrook of the NFL.
No, because Russell Westbrook. Are we talking about stats? Yeah, but not.
Yeah. Oh no, because he's a stat packer.
Right, but Russell Westbrook actually wants to win.
No, Russell Westbrook just cares about records.
No, I still think Russell. I've heard stories about him.
Well, I think Russell Westbrook has a better winning mentality than Antonio Brown, but both of them want to get more records than most people. Like last year, Russell Wilson was giving up open shots to get an assist.
Yeah, true. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I still think Antonio Brown's personality is way worse than Russell.
Yeah,
Russell puts so much work into it. I'm not saying that Antonio Brown doesn't, but
Russell
Westbrook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Antonio Brown, you just don't want him on your team.
That's true.
I'd rather have him on my team. Let's just put it that way.
Well, we'll just have to see.
All antics that he does, Antonio Brown does, I just don't want it at all.
That's true.
But yeah, he's gonna get traded. I don't know where to. Maybe the Colts. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll find out.
We'll see what happens.
All right.
He'd be sick on the Colts.
He would with Andrew Luck.
Flinging that ball out, yeah.
That would be sick. Well, thank you so much, guys, for listening to this week's Friday Tennis Talks with Austin. I hope to see you guys next week. Make sure you check out all our social medias and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube or that follow button if you're listening on Spotify and SoundCloud. Hope to see you again next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.